Today, I present to you not a fable, but a historically grounded case for the resurrection of Jesus Christ, an event that changed the world and still transformed lives. First, consider Christ's honorable burial. Jesus was buried in a known tomb of one Joseph of Arimathea, a member of the Sanhedrin. If the burial was fabricated, choosing a public figure would have been counterproductive due to the risk of drawing attention and scrutiny. While early critics were unable to produce a body, as the tomb was indeed empty, leaving nothing for enemies of Christianity to point to. Then we have the appearances of Christ after his death. Besides the Gospels, there is the account of 1 Corinthians 15, verses 3 and 4, a creed dated within a few years after the crucifixion. Christ died for our sins, according to the Scriptures, was buried, and was raised on the third day, and appeared. Paul is not inventing a myth, but passing things perhaps received from apostles, as shown in Galatians 1, verses 18 and 19, pre-Markan sources, and testimony in circulation while witnesses still lived, and more importantly, his life-changing encounter with the risen Christ on the road to Damascus. After Jesus' death, his followers were devastated, disheartened, scattered, and hiding in fear. Yet, while seeming to have no reason to continue, something transformed them into bold preachers, declaring not just generally that Jesus lives on spiritually, but that God raised him bodily from the grave. As Christ said in John 2, verse 19, that he raised up the temple in 3 days, referring to his body, leaving the disciples without the option to invent hope, having received when they saw the risen Christ. Another significant detail is that the first ones to see the empty tomb were the women. As in first century Jewish culture, women's testimony was often disregarded. If a fabrication was used, the men would have discovered the tomb in the story. But in spite of it hurting their credibility, they stuck with honesty by telling the truth. Just as the disciples were not portrayed as heroes, but as flawed and fearful, Peter denying Jesus 3 times. The apostles flee. Peter is rebuked by Paul for hypocrisy. These not being tales that made them look good, but records of men humbled by truth they could not deny. The 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, offer different perspectives on the resurrection without contradictions, like multiple witnesses of a crime, with different details, some covering things others might not, but all agreeing with the fact that a crime took place. Like viewing the same diamond from different angles, they harmonize in declaring the tomb was empty, Jesus rose from the dead, and lives were changed. So Christianity stands not just on faith, but on the resurrection as confirmed by history, by eyewitnesses, and by lives changed. Empty tomb, risen Christ, still today.